Neville Goddard used to say, "You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And when you are, there's no need to keep searching. The moment you get closest to what you want is exactly when you stop trying." The rational mind, conditioned to believe that everything must be achieved through effort, struggles with this idea. It wants to act, solve, control. But there is a turning point where effort starts to get in the way more than it helps. Over the next few minutes, you'll be guided into a state of awareness where doing nothing stops being passivity and becomes a spiritual technology. Not mystical in a vague way, but mystical in the sense of touching the invisible with complete trust. Surrender. Turn off distractions. Close mental loops. Breathe. You are about to remember your most forgotten power, the power to allow. Have you ever noticed how anxiety is almost always related to time? When we think that something hasn't arrived yet, that we're far from what we want, we create an imaginary line between now and the future, a distance that exists only in the mind. Neville Goddard didn't talk about time as waiting, but as an inner state. When he said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled," he wasn't pulling you toward tomorrow. He was bringing you into the now. Psychological time is the illusion that what you want is still far away. And this illusion is what delays its arrival the most. When you let go of the obsession with when, you start living as if it already is. And when your body believes that the field around you responds. It's like when you stop looking at the clock in a moment of joy, time disappears. That happens because in that moment you're present, fully, with no desire to be anywhere else. The same applies to manifestation. When you assume you already are, already have, already live it, time folds. It stops being a line between you and your desire and becomes the very vehicle of manifestation. Over the next few minutes, notice how often your mind projects your desire into the future. And what happens to your body when you bring it into the now. Maybe what you've been waiting for all this time has already been waiting for you, right here. Think about a moment in your life when you really wanted something. You tried hard, thought through every possibility, made plans, visualized, insisted, but for some reason it didn't happen. Now contrast that with another memory. A time when something wonderful just happened. No planning, no control. It just came. What was the difference? The mind might want to find a logical explanation, but deep down, what changed was your internal state. In the first case, you were trying to force reality. In the second, you were flowing with it. There is a hidden mechanism between desire and fulfillment, and that mechanism is sensitive to your level of tension. The more you tighten, the more reality slips away. The more you let go, the closer it gets. This doesn't mean not to act. It means acting without anxiety, without the weight of expectation, without trying to prove anything. It's action that comes from clarity, not from fear. Have you noticed that the most meaningful encounters, the most brilliant ideas, or the most unexpected opportunities show up when you're relaxed, present, even distracted? It's in those moments that you're not trying to be anything. You just are. And when you are, everything around you responds in harmony. That's the flow Neville points to when he talks about assuming the feeling. It's a state where you don't need to chase life, because life comes running to you. You are not separate from reality. You are the center from which it organizes itself. That might sound abstract at first, but just observe. On days when you wake up feeling anxious, everything seems harder. Conversations feel tense, obstacles seem bigger, the world feels resistant. But when you're at peace, calm, present, everything flows. People cooperate, things happen. There's a quiet harmony in the air. Neville Goddard reminds us of a powerful truth. The outer reality is not the cause, it's the reflection. It responds to the vibrational state you carry in your body, not to the words you repeat in your mind. When you want something from a place of lack or desperation, you're telling the universe, "This is not mine yet." And the universe, like a mirror, reflects exactly that absence. But when you step into the state of already having it, even if nothing has changed on the outside, something starts to shift on the inside. And that inside is the only place where everything truly begins. Reality responds to your deepest feeling, not your loudest request. This is where doing nothing becomes a subtle art, not interfering, not forcing, not trying to fix the flow of life with the restless hands of the ego, but instead, tending to your inner state with the same presence you'd use to care for a garden, trusting that the seed is already growing, even if you can't see it yet. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is perhaps the most powerful and most misunderstood phrase in all of Neville Goddard's teachings. To assume is not to wish, is not to wait, is not hoping the world will change so that then you can feel different. To assume is to feel now what you would feel if everything were already taken care of. It's a complete reversal of common logic. Instead of waiting to have so you can be, you choose to be, and then the having shows up as a natural reflection. But what does that mean in practice? It means to stop looking for signs, to stop checking if it's working. It means letting go of doubt, of compulsive control, of the anxiety for immediate proof. Doing nothing, in this context, means not interfering. It's a deep state of trust, where you no longer need to convince the universe of anything because internally you're already convinced. The mind will resist. It will want to know how, when, and through what path. But Neville's teaching is clear. It's not your job to figure out the way. Your job is to assume the state. The rest arranges itself through synchronicity. You don't need to know the plan. You need to know who you are, and act, think, and breathe as if what you desire is already happening now. Because on a deeper level, it already is. There's an inner restlessness that shows up every time we believe something is still missing. That feeling of incompleteness pushes us into the search, the effort, the constant attempt to achieve, reach, or fix. But this search, even when driven by a genuine desire, carries a subtle poison. It constantly affirms that we are not there yet, that we don't have it, that we are not it. And that's the paradox. While we chase what we want, we're vibrating in the exact opposite of what we wish to experience. Think about how someone who already has what they want behaves. That person doesn't force, doesn't prove, doesn't demand. They move with confidence, ease, and presence. That's why stopping the chase is a powerful act of inner transformation. You're not giving up on the desire. You're letting go of the identity of someone who doesn't have it. You're trading the hunter for presence. Trading the search for a quiet recognition that what you want is already on its way. Already being attracted, magnetized, drawn to you by the frequency you're sending out right now. And that frequency doesn't come from effort. Comes from certainty. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the first step. Remaining in that state is the real challenge. First, it may seem easy. You visualize, you feel, you align. But then time passes. The outer world hasn't changed yet. And the mind starts to ask, am I doing this right? Is it working? Will it really happen? These questions aren't just innocent doubts. They're the doorway through which the old state of lack tries to return. And often it does. This is the moment when most people give up. Not because something went wrong, but because the vibrational state was abandoned before the manifestation could take form. Neville invites us to a kind of faith that doesn't demand immediate proof. A knowing that doesn't rely on sight. A trust that stands strong through time. Remaining in the state of already having is, above all, making peace with not knowing. It's living without needing to control the when, the how, or the why. It's accepting that reality is reorganizing itself from your new inner center, even if you can't see any signs of it yet. This kind of staying is a practice, a training, a constant reminder. What you want isn't somewhere else or sometime later. It's in the now, and you are the channel through which it will be revealed. Between the moment you assume the state and the moment the manifestation appears, there is a gap, an empty space, a silence. That silence is not a mistake. It's not absence. It's recalibration. It's the time reality takes to reorganize itself around your new inner state. But because we've been conditioned to expect immediate results, we often interpret this gap as a sign of failure. And then, just when everything is aligning, we return to doubt. Accepting this gap is one of the most mature steps on the path of manifestation. It means understanding that the invisible needs time to become visible, that the seed needs darkness before it breaks through the soil. In that space between the unseen and the seen, a quiet wisdom is born, a trust that no longer needs proof, a calm that, by itself, already transforms your life, even before any desire takes shape. Living your life normally, without anxiety, with certainty rooted in your heart. That's the secret. What seemed empty is actually full of motion, a movement you can't see, but one that responds to your vibration every second. And when you stop disturbing the process, it blossoms. Not every manifestation happens through visible action. Some of the most powerful ones are born in silence. Not the silence of apathy, but of active receptivity, an inner state of deep openness, where the being is ready to receive effortlessly. In mystical traditions, this state is compared to the sacred feminine, the principle of invisible gestation. Jung linked it to the archetype of the Great Mother, the one who nurtures the unseen, who trusts the cycle of life even without knowing its details. Receptivity is not inertia. It's vibrational gestation. In this fertile silence, you don't demand anything from reality. You align with it. It's like fertile soil that doesn't need to chase the rain. It simply remains open, receptive, surrendered to the cycle. When desire is planted with trust, time stops being about waiting. It becomes nourishment. In this space, you don't need to force visualization or repeat affirmations compulsively. Sometimes the most transformative thing you can do is simply be. Breathe, listen, feel, because it's in this state of quiet surrender that you become magnetic. And what once seemed distant starts moving toward you with mysterious precision, as if the universe had finally heard you. You don't need to chase life. Life knows exactly where you are. What it needs is for you to be fully here now, aligned, available. True power is not in effort, but in the silent vibration of someone who already knows they are. Someone who has already decided they are worthy, they are capable, they already have even before touching it. This is the space of conscious creation, a field where the invisible responds to your deepest conviction. When you let go, the universe flows. When you trust, it moves. When you are, everything around you begins to reflect who you've become. And maybe the next miracle you've been waiting for is just waiting for you to stop, so it can arrive.